Hey guys, Alex here with Armadillo Armament. Today, I'm going to have a really quick video on a highlighted piece of gear that I've had a lot of really great success with. This is the Argus LWNVM mount. This is the lightweight night vision mount, and it is clearly a G24 knockoff, homage, clone, whatever you want to call it. Before we jump into this, I have sponsored with Red Pawn Shop. He makes really cool patches for me. It's armadillos with quad nods and MCXs. If you use code Armadillo, I'll put information on the screen. You'll get 5% off your order. I will also get a small kickback, and it helps support the channel. Please like and subscribe. I have really cool content coming up on a lot of cool HoloSyn products. This is just going to be a quick video. Getting into night vision is super expensive. I have made a couple videos already showing you guys how to efficiently get into a PVS 14 and even get into binos. I will be having a updated setup on these probably within the next couple weeks, showing off these RNVGs, which I'm very happy with. But there's a lot of support equipment that goes with night vision that is exorbitantly expensive, as you know. A Wilcox G24, which is by all intents and definitions identical to this, is $600. Let's be real, guys. It's not worth $500 or $600. It's only that expensive because they are selling to military units, and the G24 is widely considered probably the best mount on the planet for like dovetail mounts, like dual tubes or a lot of dual tubes. So they can get away with that price. Now, I'm not an idiot. I know that this little chintzy piece of metal is nowhere near worth the $500, even though it is a really great piece of engineering. So that's where the LWNVM mount comes in from Argus. They are unabashedly ripping it off, right? Let's be fully transparent. They are not making their own version of a G24. They are literally ripping off the G24. And as long as they can legally do it, I don't really have any problem with that because, you know, $600 for a civilian to get into night vision for just buying a Wilcox mount that wasn't even designed for us is obviously kind of ridiculous. So if we're able to make a comparable quality product to the original product, then obviously I want to do it. Now, it's also important to state that Chinese versions of the G24 have existed for a long time. It's just that Argus is making one that's actually worth a damn. I've heard really bad stories about other Chinese versions of this that aren't nearly as good. So let's talk about the LWNVM. First of all, if you guys don't know how the G24 works, I'm going to run you through it right now. This button right here, when you press this right here, when you press this in, that's obviously going to articulate it up and down. And it's really important that I bring that up, but I'll explain that in a minute. The G24 has some of the best adjustment of anything on the planet, or any night vision mounts on the planet. Now, a Rhino 2 mount is mostly going to be retention. If you need to adjust the eye position of it, you're just going to do that with pressure, right? Whereas with a G24, everything is locked into place, right? This metal tab isn't going anywhere, which is what obviously holds your night vision, right? You just clip that in. This isn't going to move whatsoever unless you press the corresponding buttons that go with adjusting the device and adjusting the night vision mount, the LWNVM mount. So what I mean by that is when this is stowed, it's going to stow at a relatively high position, and this actually has the modified RNVG mount to make it so it sits a little bit closer to my eyes, but I greatly prefer this. A lot of people prefer the Rhino 2 mount. I've gone with a Rhino 2 in my original setup. I'm just not very fond of it. I much prefer having these physical buttons that lock my device where I want it to be locked. So when I throw it up here, it is in a stowed position, and no amount of force is ever going to undo that. You have to press in on this button. Now, once again, that's extremely important because I waited to do this review until I had at least probably between 20 and 30 hours on this dedicated mount walking around, but also shooting with it during the day. I wear my nods during the day. I think people that take off their nods during the day, it's not that it's wrong. It's just that, first of all, I want to be prepared for everything, but also it's just really good training. And I run counterweights on my helmet, so like, what would I have to do? Take my nods off and then take the counterweights out the back of it? Like, no, that's nonsensical. So I wear my nods during the day. And in a lot of my shooting clips, which I'll put some on the screen right now, you will see that I am wearing my nods and I'm getting a lot of really good reps. Now, it's also important because I have bumped this night vision dual tube setup and this mount into pieces of wood, into the ground when I go in prone, into just weapons, into everything when I'm walking around, because that's just gonna happen with night vision. And That's why I'm able to give you guys good perspective on this. I'm not a dude that has just run this for a couple minutes outside. I've literally run this for probably 100 hours of actually dynamic shooting and moving. So everything has held up great. Just to run you guys through the rest of the controls, this is going to adjust how far, it's basically going to be IPD in a way, how far the nods are away from you. Let me clip that in, right? So when you do this, bring it closer and farther from your eyes. This is going to adjust the, essentially, you'll see that back here, how it is positioned against your helmet. It's very hard to describe what these levers do, but when you get your nod set up, you're going to need a very precise eye position, and just know that even tiny little micro adjustments like this piece rotating back here really does make a huge difference. Lastly, over here, this is going to adjust, you know, how high and low it's basically kind of stows on the helmet. I don't know the fancy term because I don't care. I'm a shooter, I'm not a technician. And yeah, it's just a fantastic little piece of machinery that instead of costing you $500 from Wilcox, it's going to cost you $100 roughly. I think I got this for sub $100. A lot of Wilcox mounts, people actually jam tape up just like around this this area, and they'll put like paracord everywhere to tighten everything up. I run paracord through here just to make it so there's even less slop, and just to really make sure if the breakaway feature works on this, which it does. The breakaway is a design of this. They didn't omit that feature, which is a really good feature. You're not going to snap your neck if you hit a tree. But a lot of people are shimming G24s with tape and paracord, and I haven't even found that to be the case. Now, one last thing before we wrap up this video, I have heard a couple reports of these things either potentially breaking or not being technically as high quality as a G24, which, you know, I mean, I believe, right, there's a $500 price difference between the two. The only issue where I've seen people say, hey, you should splurge and make this a little bit better, is I've heard that if you take out these screws and apply like Loctite to them, it'll be an even more secure platform, just because they omitted that from the factory. But there we go, guys. Night vision doesn't need to be super expensive. Night vision is obviously a couple $1,000s to get into a tube, or $5,000 or $6,000 to get into RNVGs here. But there are really good products on the side, like lights and lasers, that aren't $3,000, like a MAL C1 or a Argus G24, which is $600. You can get this for maybe about $100. So they're just little tips and tricks, and I really wanted to share this with you. The warranty process is great on these. Go talk to them. I've talked to them via email. If you have any further questions, feel free to chime off down below, and I'll be giving you guys more night vision content coming up soon. So thanks for tuning into the channel. Have a good one, guys.